Ladies and gentlemen, don't be afraid. It's just your friendly neighborhood Longmonster with your host, Justin Veach.
Hey, Dave Tamkin Company, ladies and gentlemen. Let's hear it for this duo.
Brad Huffman to my left, everybody. You're looking good, Justin. Looking
Well,
good.
you likewise. Takes one to know one. Last time we did this show, this is the second Longmonster, if you're counting out there, back in the fall. We only do this twice a year, by the way. So if we seem rusty, we're not. We're totally not. Anyway, didn't you have a drummer last time?
We did, but we got a call 2 nights ago that COVID is still around, and he was
COVID!
So we're missing Chadzilla this evening, but hopefully Brad Huffman is a monster, so I think we'll be all right.
Bradzilla. We'll take. Excellent. Well, how have you guys been? What's new? What's cooking?
Well, we haven't been traveling and just spending a lot of time in our basements making music. That's about it.
Has it been a productive time for you two?
It is.
Yeah?
Brad's got about 4 new songs he's working on, and I think I've brought maybe a quarter of a song to the table. So, again, Brad is a monster, and I'm just trying to keep up.
Oh, well, you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
Right? He's doing okay. He's keeping up. Okay, good. Anyway, well, we've got a great show for you tonight. But before I get into that, I just want to let you know what the Longmonster is all about. It's all about Longmont, really. And, our friends at the Longmont Chamber describe a Longmonster as anyone who lives, cares, loves, visits, thinks, dreams, eats, or sleeps Longmont. If you do any of those things, you're a Longmonster. Welcome. You're welcome here. We love you all, you Longmonsters. Anyway, we do have a great show for you tonight. These shows are all about exposing you folks to the incredible people who live in Longmont and the general area. We do sometimes kind of push things out to include Boulder County, but you'll be happy to know that tonight, everyone here with us this evening, as far as our guests go, are 100% Longmonsters, okay? So they're not from Erie, they're not from Windsor, they're not from Boulder, they're not from Denver. These are Longmonsters that are with us this evening. So there you go. What else? What else can I tell you? Not a lot, actually. I want to do all the talking from that desk. I want our guests to do the talking. So tonight, what do you say? All roads tonight lead to Longmont. That's right. Let's get me to the desk. Hey, so here I am at the desk, and I just want to do some basic housekeeping items before we get going. The Longmonster is, of course, a presentation and a production of the Longmont Museum, and the Longmont Museum is a center for culture where people of all ages experience art, explore history, and discover new ideas through dynamic programs, exhibitions, and events. How about them apples? That's right. We're a multidisciplinary performing arts center, and we have this great gallery space. We actually have 2 galleries, believe it or not. One is dedicated to permanent exhibition called Front Range Rising, which is a history of Longmont and the area chronologically. And then we have a temporary gallery space where we have rotating exhibitions. And the current exhibition is, this is a big one, it's a blockbuster. It's Enduring Impressions, the work of Monet, Pissarro, and Degas, and their printmaker, William Thornley. It's a really cool show, and it's up through the summer. I believe it closes in mid-July, so you have time to check that out. I really recommend it. If you'd like to see a Monet in Longmont, now's your time. Every Thursday night, this program is part of our Thursday Nights at the Museum series, and we call it that because the programs happen every Thursday night.
Did you come up with that idea?
No, I think we had some marketing guy in Boulder come up with that for us, actually. You know any marketing guys in Boulder? No.
Just a few.
Just a few, okay. So every Thursday evening, we offer a little something. Tonight is a talk show. Last week, it was a panel discussion on something amazing. Oh, landscaping. It was on landscaping. And next week, we have a great poetry reading with Abigail Chabot-Noir. Really fantastic poet, very accomplished. So you might want to check that out. And last but not least, I want to thank all the people who make these programs possible. The Scientific and Cultural Facilities District, otherwise known as a whole bunch of words, or the SCFD. I'd like to thank the Stewart Family Foundation. Hey, especially for that big check you gave us last week. We really liked all the zeros on it. Thank you so much. You've been so supportive. We simply couldn't do all the things that we do without you. All of our museum donors, our museum members, and the friends of the Longmont Museum. I'd also like to thank the lovely and mighty KGNU Radio out of dear old Boulder down the road for their media sponsorship support. Anyway, it takes a village to make these things happen, and we're so glad for the community's support. So on with the show. 2021, awful year so far, and who knew that it could get any worse than 2020? But it has been dark, and we're hoping that tonight we can offer a little bit of levity and some lightness and dig into some personal stories with some really great Longmonsters. 2021 is the 150th anniversary of the city of Longmont. Isn't that amazing?
It is amazing, and you've been around for all of them, haven't you?
No, I actually moved here 3 years ago from Los Angeles, but you're close.
Oh, okay.
You're close.
Sorry, my bad.
You're going to get me for that marketing thing, aren't you? That's going to haunt me all night. I can tell. This is going to be a long show. That's why we call it the Longmonster, because it goes on and on and on and on and on and on, and it's a monster. Anyway, so the Longmont is 150 years old this year, and early on, Longmont was plagued by a monster, and it was slain early on, and that's the remnants of it here on our coffee table. That is actually the head of the Longmonster, and a lot of people ask me all the time. They actually ask Eric Mason, our curator of history, have things really changed all that much in 150 years?
Have they?
Yeah, it's a great question. And so I have some images that indicate that no, things haven't changed all that much. So let's get going here. I'm going to show you some images. So here's this young lady sitting on her front porch feeding a chipmunk. I think I was doing that just the other day. And what's that right behind her? Can you make that out? Yeah, that is a coffee cup from our favorite local coffee place. What's it called again? Ziggy's. That's right, Ziggy's. That's a Ziggy's coffee cup sitting behind her. Ziggy's has been around a while, apparently. And so is espresso. Oh, and here's a young mother with her 2 girls, and there's mother's little helper, her iPhone in her lap. So, you know, Apple was big in the 1870s. I don't know if you know this. And here's a nice young man staring bravely into the camera while the Longmonster wreaks havoc outside his window. So there's proof. That's it right there. That's the connection. And, you know, that Longmonster just terrorized Longmont up until Batman and Doctor Who arrived. And if you can see in that photo that Batman used to park his car between those 2 buildings, the dry goods store and the furniture shop, and there's Doctor Who in his what is that telephone booth thing called he travels in? TARDIS. That's right. I'm not going to win any points tonight with the Doctor Who crazies.
I'm surprised he's not always late.
Is Doctor Who always late?
And his TARDIS.
Tardies.
Sorry.
Tardies, right?
Sorry,
Yeah.
TARDIS.
Right. He may have been. I mean, they did vanquish the Longmonster, so it kind of reminds me of that movie, The Lair of the White Worm, a little bit. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Anyway, let's move on, shall we, to our first guest of the evening. I am very excited to introduce you folks to my computer, which is sitting on my desk right now. Tonight's first guest is the golden-throated DJ behind Longmont's own Ley Radio, KJJD 1170 on your AM dial. He plays beautiful music, old and new if he likes it, and if it's not about drugs. That's what he says. Ladies and gentlemen, give a great big Longmonster hello to Jessie Rodriguez.
Radio is a sound salvation. Radio is cleaning up the nation. So you better listen to the voice of reason. But you don't give them a choice for treason. You better do as you're told. You better listen to the radio.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, that was a little Elvis Costello tune. Radio.
Yeah, radio show. Spanish radio show in Longmonster.
That's right. Well, this is a TV show. This is an internet show. But you're on it. You're on the internet too, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Streaming. Are you 24/7? Yeah. You're on 24 hours a day, right? Your radio station.
Yeah. No, it's daytime. From when it's summer, like right now, start going from 6 o'clock through 7:15.
Okay.
And then it's more time through the summer going, you know. June, July is 8:30 in the evening.
What happens at 8 o'clock?
Well, right now with the communication, it's been changing a lot because before I had the permit by the FCC on daytime, but right now with the new communication with that you can hear any radio station from the world with the tune-in, it's 24 hours.
Okay.
The radio right now on tune-in is 24 hours. It's
Okay.
amazing with the new communications, you know. Before used to be only the time that the FCC gave, you know, daytime, but right now it's going 24 hours by the
On the internet.
by the tune-in. Yeah,
Yeah.
there
But
is
if
a tune-in. There is a the communication right now very popular is the telephone in tune-in. They put the application the tune-in,
Yeah.
and then they hear the radio the
Right.
24 hours.
So do you think most people who listen to you are listening to you on the internet?
Both and most of the people listen because I have audios from Florida, from Texas, from New York, from Illinois, even from Canada.
There are people in New York in Canada who are listening to a radio station in Longmont.
In Longmont, yeah.
I like it.
Even some people that live in Longmont that go to North Dakota or another states that listen to the radio and they call us. Oh, I'm calling from North Dakota, from different places. It's amazing right now with the communication because they have the chance of on the cellular to put in the application or tune in, and then you can hear the radio.
Can I tell my smart speaker to play Ley?
Oh yeah, that would
I can
be.
say, "Hey Alexa." I'm going to screw up people's Alexas right now. Hey Alexa, play Ley.
Yeah. And the nice thing is that in Spanish, I've been doing the radio station that all days, because I don't play dirty music, like drugs and all those things. I don't play. I play music. There is a lot of music. The music is beautiful, and there is a lot of old songs that they play right now.
So how do you define your Ley in terms of music? Like what do you play?
Mexican regional music, banda, some banda or mariachi band, and all kind of music. Trios, the trios, it's going that music already. It's not really popular.
And they're all bands working from Mexico, or some
and
of
from
them in
United States too.
Okay.
Like Selena used to be from Texas, and Jenny Rivera.
Are there a lot of good Mexican bands coming out of the U.S.?
Yes,
A lot.
sometimes. Right now it's stopped with the pandemic. It's stopped.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
But I think it's gonna open pretty soon, about 3 or 4 weeks or so. That everybody's gonna be with each other the coronavirus, COVID virus.
You just got your 2 shots, right?
Yes, I have already.
Congratulations.
Yeah, it's easy. The second one I feel a little weak. One day only, but that's it. Then I believe in the doctors and the new technology. And when you see that the president is doing that, you should do too.
Yeah.
But it's still that we can use the mask. Because it's very important.
Yeah.
Until they give the green light.
Until we get the green light?
Yes.
Yeah. It might be a little while before we get there, but I think it's coming.
Yeah, I don't know why the people do not understand when they come up from the hospitals, that they're talking about a lot of things, that how you feel with that sickness. And sometimes they don't know that contagious, the sickness is very dangerous. I think when they give some news, they don't give the news the way it is because they may scare the people, but I think it's bad, the COVID-19.
It's better to scare people with the news. I mean, so
They don't tell the people the really the true things, because this virus is really very dangerous.
Yeah.
And they're talking about another one in Brazil or so
right.
that is really bad. And I don't know what's going to be right now,
Yeah, it's hard to know. But getting those vaccinations is the first step towards a return
Yes.
to normal. You just got yours, didn't you, Dave?
Yes, 2, but it was the Pfizer,
Oh,
so I only have to say it once. But
I
the
think-
Johnson & Johnson, you only get once,
That's
but you have
right.
to say it twice.
I'm getting mine tomorrow morning, by the way. How long have you been here in Longmont?
But me,
How long have you been in Longmont?
I've been in Longmont already, I think, 25 years.
Okay.
I started the radio on 1997.
Okay.
First June of 1997.
Okay.
So on this June is going to be 24 years.
Wow. 1st of June will be 24 years. That's a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And before that, you were in Chicago doing radio?
Yeah, I was in Chicago on radio and TV. In Chicago, there used to be Channel 26 television on Jackson and LaSalle. And then later come up Telemundo and Univision in Chicago. But used to be the first one in Spanish that they transmitted different ethnic groups like Indians and black people, like the old programs that I remember is Dan Cornelius.
Yeah,
the
Don
Soul
Cornelius. Yeah.
Train.
Soul Train. We should bring that back. We should do a Longmont version of Soul Train.
Yeah, was very, very popular music, you know, and something that people like, dancers, you know, was only dancers.
So you're really you're a seasoned media professional.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I met Harry Carey, I met Jack House, big guys.
What did you do on TV? Were you a front of camera person? Were you a
Yes.
a personality?
Yes, we do it, and we have some half hour or some Spanish programs from Mexico City, Noches Tapatías.
Noches Tapatías.
Yeah.
Okay.
They used to buy the rights of the half hour, and
Okay.
it's not too expensive, you know, that one.
Was it like was it sort of newsy kind
Yeah,
of?
some music from the big talent of Mexico, singers, ladies and men and shows, you know.
Okay. So you would MC the music shows?
Right, and
Yeah.
used to be some videotapes, half hour,
Okay.
and then the other ones were live.
So you were a music video DJ. You were a VJ.
Yeah, no, well, the videos coming, you know, it's electronics, they just pass. When the video's ending, then I start
Yeah.
live music
Oh,
with
okay.
some mariachi and bands and, you know,
So you basically
lip
were.
singers and, you
Yeah.
know, most of the lip singers used to be that you had the record and the people start to singing.
Oh, you'd have like karaoke kind. Not karaoke, no lip syncing.
lip
okay,
syncing,
right.
yeah.
Okay, all right.
Lip singer.
That's fun.
Yeah, I was a long time, you know. And when I come to Colorado, I said, well, am I getting here? I tried to get in the business, in the communication business, but it's not easy. It's not easy. Communications, like the musician, is not easy too, you know, when you started.
Right. Yeah.
When you started, it's hard.
Yeah. Unless you're Dave Tamkin, and it's.
Yeah, the
What,
camera too.
what
you know.
brought you out from Chicago to Longmont?
I come to buy cigarettes and I stay here. No, well, I try to get away from my kids. They grow up already, and I say, I gotta get away. But they're coming to Longmont.
They follow you.
Yeah.
How many kids do you have?
I have 3,
Okay.
but one passed away in some accident
Oh, I'm sorry.
on I-25.
On 25.
Yeah, on I-25. It's been already 19 years ago.
19 years ago.
Yeah, because I used to travel from Longmonster to Windsor,
Okay.
where is the radio station, in Windsor, the radio antenna, and the transmitter. And then we send the signal by Longmont, some 624 North Main Street, to Windsor.
Right. So you broadcast from Longmont on Main Street, and then it
Correct.
gets transmitted from Windsor.
Right.
Right. And you were telling me that it extends all the way to Cheyenne, down to Broncos Stadium,
Yeah.
and into Nebraska a little bit.
Yeah, in some part of Nebraska by the FCC, but when you go into the tune-in, that's different tune-in. They call us from everywhere: Illinois, Florida, Texas, California, sometimes someplace in Mexico, or sometimes even they listen to us in Japan.
In Japan.
Yeah, because there is some guy that called me, hey, why you say good morning when it's light? Where you listen? They say, oh, I'm in Japan. Some guy from Mexico. By the tune in, you know.
Yeah. Right. Right.
Or the new technology.
Yeah. They're probably listening to you in a submarine somewhere right now.
Yeah.
What do you love about Longmont? What keeps you here?
Well, I love Longmont because there is a beautiful city, very nice town, and you know, before now it's a little problem with the new communications because the accidents that happen in Denver, people that is try to send some message to somebody by phone, and then don't pay attention to the driver, you know, that's a problem. I don't know what we're going to do that because the communication is good, the new technology, but sometimes it's bad.
meaning it can be that technology that allows people to listen to your station is distracting people when they're driving? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, well, yeah, when they're driving. But the most of the problem when they're driving, they testing, they send message.
Oh, yeah.
And when
yeah.
you send message, you leave the wheel, and it's bad. I don't know what we do with that, really.
You don't text and drive, everybody.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I think they got to do something. They got to get some nice tickets, with good money, because if they don't do it, it's bad for Chicago. Because you're driving and somebody get close to you, and then you get to the other guy and hit the other guy, and it's coming the accident, which is bad.
Yikes. Yeah. If you're out there driving and listening to the Longmonster on your phone while you're driving, don't text also.
Yeah, don't test the driving.
That would be too much. That would be too much. So do you feel like you really know do you feel like you're really connected to the Longmont Latino community? Do you feel like you really know it through your work at Ley?
Yeah, I know a lot of people in here, and around here, everywhere, most of the north side of Colorado.
Yeah.
Even we have some strong areas on Denver. There's a lot of people.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Yeah.
But we reached to part of Aurora, part of Aurora too.
Okay.
And then we reach also Estes Park.
So what's really hot right now? What do people? What's really popular right now, music-wise?
The music, band. The band is very, very popular. Like the old bands in the United States. Very good, man. Lawrence Welk, the big bands, but in Spanish.
Oh, okay. Like
it's
Lawrence
very
Welk,
popular.
big band,
Right.
but Mexican.
Right.
Huh.
Yeah, the music is very, very popular.
Wow. Was it popular back in the 20s, 30s, 40s?
It used to be the mariachi band, because
Okay.
I believe before used to be the better voices, because when you sing it with mariachi, you must to have a good voice. But when you sing it with the band, big band, it's covered a little bit the aria, and everybody can sing with those bands,
Can we? I would love to work with Ley to present some concerts here sometime.
Oh yeah.
Would you be into that?
Yeah, we might. Yeah.
That would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, there's a lot of groups in here that they might perform. Yeah.
And maybe we can
Especially
co-host.
Sure. Yeah.
We can co-host it. We can do English and Spanish.
Yeah. Okay.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank
And
you.
I hope you'll stick around. We are doing a special Longmont quiz
Okay.
at the end of the program, and there's going to be prizes, so you
Okey-doke.
could win something
Okay.
if you know Longmont.
All
Yes,
right.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Our next guest, ladies and gentlemen, is she's a psychic. She's a medium. And we're going to have we're going to play some music to bring her out on the stage. I'm spaced out. Jessie, I was so involved in our conversation.
Oh,
I can't,
sorry.
I'm still there, man. I'm still in our conversation.
When I'm in trouble, you'll always be there. When I'm singing double, you make it clear.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dori
I think it
Spence.
through. Just what I'm gonna do. You already knew. We got a psychic connection. Your thoughts don't need correction. Got a psychic connection.
Here we are.
Hi, Dori.
Hello.
It's so nice to see you.
Right back at you.
Thank you. Thank you. How do you get to be a psychic? What's the sort of career path for a psychic and a medium? Is there one?
I think if my career happened accidentally, I didn't plan it at all. It just, I started realizing when I was around 10 that I could pick up voices and things from supposedly air. I thought at once it was I had a straight line to God, because he'd give me these, I'd get these visions or something and pass them on to somebody, and they usually were good. I've never had any bad experiences in 50-some years that I've worked in the paranormal field, you might say.
Wow, amazing, amazing. You've told me that you consider yourself Longmont's weirdest historian. Is
Well,
that
I've
true?
actually heard that be eavesdropped.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but I'll claim it.
I don't know. You don't seem that
I don't have
weird
any
to me.
competition.
Oh, that's right. There is not a competition out there for the weirdest historian in Longmont. Is that what you're saying? I gotcha.
And then for the people that know me for the paranormal, I'm known as an extra large medium.
An extra large medium, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know. I think you might be more of an extra large small. Yeah. Yeah. That's how I see it. Anyway. So tell us a little bit about the relationship between the spirit realm and history.
Well, people call it the spirit world. They call the afterlife, when really, for me, it's the same life. It's a parallel existence. And but where it relates to me, where I relate it to the history, is the fact that anybody who shows up in a spirit form was physical at one time. And so they're people from the past. I mean, there are people that were physical in the past. And there's a lot of theories out there. I don't believe anything, or don't disbelieve anything, except what passes through my own experience, and I've experienced it. So I don't know anybody's views on reincarnation, but it's a possibility. But I think more were recycled. I think these bodies are recycled, in that the personalities are. Is that when I think I'm totally unique, but when I go on to wherever I go on to, then there'll be somebody else that will come and play this part.
They'll have a little Dori in them.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And when you do a lot of history tours in Longmont,
yeah.
and I know that when you walk through, I'm from a relatively new place. I'm from Los Angeles, and I remember going to the East Coast for the first time and experiencing buildings that were more than 100 years old or something, and really getting this palpable sense of history, right? I could feel the history. Is there a relationship between, sort of feeling history and feeling the spirit world or something? Is it similar?
Well, actually, I think what we share with other living things, whether it's a plant or an animal or an invisible being, I call them, because that's it's the only difference between us, is that our physical eyes don't register them. But it's this life force. It's in the energy that's inside us. And we know from fifth grade physics, and that's the only thing I remember about fifth grade, was that we're energy beings, and so we project energy. And so all that energy is just like you can't see the rays from the sun unless it lands on something. You can't see wind. You can hear music, but you can't see it. You can't even see my words coming out of my mouth. I think 50% of what's going on here is we aren't able to see it physically with our physical eyes. So that's where we have the same kind of connection with, so the spirit world isn't a separate world. It's just part of a reality of energy beings that function differently than we do. But they always, what we could call ghosts, are always the energy left from people who were physical at one time. And the concept is kind of, as I understand it, it's like you have a picture of your great-great-grandfather sitting on the wall, hanging in the wall of your living room. And he could be gone for years and years, hundreds of years. And there that picture is. And he's wearing the same glasses he wore then. He's got picture of his tie, red tie. And how does that get there? How does he, well, because somehow when they take the picture, he projected that energy along with all the colors connected with it. And then it used to be that was transferred somehow onto a little piece of negative
Yeah.
that you can tear apart with your fingers. And then from there, that energy was transferred onto this piece of paper, and there it is. So to me, that's not any more stranger than the fact that that energy that they left behind when the body dissolved is still there as well. Stuck to the chair they used to sit in. Yeah. And one of the stories that I tell in the haunting history of Longmont is the barber shop on west side of Main Street.
Yeah.
And when I first started to do the tours, I went around to the historic buildings. I wanted to get the history first, and then I just wanted to find out if they had any stories to tell me. And some of them did, strange things that happened. One was a company, a building that's called Hanson Building down on 4th Avenue, and it was built for the telephone company. Well, when I started doing the tours in 2000, I went there to ask, because I knew it was an old building from 1907, and asked them if they had any stories. And they started telling me about these phones ringing, that it was really quiet, nobody was really talking too loudly, or they'd hear this ringing, but it wasn't our dial phones at that time. It was this old cranky kind of thing.
Okay.
And I was from Kansas, so I knew what that sounded like. And they said they started getting used to it enough that they would even tease people when they'd see somebody new, kind of look around because they could hear it. Then they'd say, "Aren't you going to get that?" But the interesting thing was they did not know that had been the telephone company. I had done the research on that building and realized that they had built it for the telephone, and it was a telephone company for 70 years. So that was my first experience with actually realizing that the energy of sound also gets imprinted into the energy, like debris in a tornado gets caught up in the wind with the tornado, got imprinted in that. And so that was pretty interesting to me that happens. And then the other one thing that I want to talk about sound was I like to talk about Elvis Presley. People laugh and say, well, he's dead. He's been dead for, 60 years now? But I have a CD that my son transferred from a cassette that I recorded off a live performance on the radio of Elvis Presley in 1975 in Las Vegas. So here you are, you've got 50,000 people out there, and this man comes on the stage, and out of his mouth comes this stuff. You can't see it, but you can hear it, and it goes through these weird-looking boxes, doesn't alter it, and then goes into all these ears of these people out here, and I doubt anybody that paid tickets to go see that would say, doesn't that sound like Frank Sinatra? It's clearly Elvis.
Right, yeah.
And so now, fast forward 60-some years, I can take this CD that melts in the sun if I put it on the dash of my car and stick that in another one of these funny contraptions that I don't understand how it works.
And there's Elvis.
And here's the energy comes out, and there's no doubt about it, it's Elvis's. And so that's how dense, or whatever you want to call it, critical that energy is, but how logical it is too when you think about it.
So we can feel people's energy long after they're gone.
Yeah. Well, not everybody, because we were talking earlier, one of the examples is that to me we're kind of like somebody sitting in a boat, okay? And the boat is on this river, this water. This water is one of the universal forces. We don't have any control over it, but we can utilize it. And some people can feel the energy from the water, as the boat moves, whatever. Other people can't because they're sitting in the boat fishing. They're focused on the fishing, whatever.
Well, they're on their iPhone. They're
they're on their iPhone,
texting.
yeah. And once we engage our physical brain, our conscious mind, on something, then our brain, it's like putting something on your desktop. That's what you're focused on. So what's happening around you, you don't pick up psychically because I say I do my best work when I'm unconscious. And that's basically it. When my conscious mind is open, then I get visions and things that are already out there, but you don't always pick up on them. It's like we're driving in your car and you got the radio going and you're kind of oblivious and you're thinking about being late for work and who's that dumb driver over there and all this conscious interaction. And then all of a sudden a song comes on that really triggers your emotional aura, or your antenna, I call it, all of a sudden. And then you realize that the music's been on the whole time. You just haven't been open to it. So that's basically what we are, is those things exist. The energy exists out there, like I said, wind, you can't see wind, but so the energy from people from the past is why I like doing the Haunted History Tours, because if the vision or the sensing I get, that it doesn't dovetail into the history, then it's just another slamming door, and who cares? But we've been able to, like the telephone company, and then another example is the little church on Fifth Avenue.
Right.
That was where we walked in, and when I feel something or sense something, or think I see something, then I put a blindfold on, because that keeps my conscious mind from saying there's nothing over there, interrupting it. And as I walked in the church, little church, and there's 3 windows on both sides of the church. They go from east to west. And I sensed something over in the corner. So I put my blindfold on, and over here in the corner, there's the altar on the east side. And then there's these 3 windows, and there was a clothesline that was tied and came over and hooked on the other side of the open window. And hanging from this clothesline was a long black coat, which I would probably call a deacon's coat, And then there was a short pinafore, and then there was an adult pinafore hanging upside down on this makeshift clothesline. And it was when Barbara Stone had her polar bear, she had an art studio there. And so I went back to her and I said, this is what I saw. When I took my blindfold off, it was gone. I said, but it makes sense to me that in the 1800s, when it was a church, they would wash those out and hang them in front of the open window so they'd be dry for the next service.
Sure.
And she said, you got to see what I've got something to show you. And somebody had come, she'd asked somebody to come in and take pictures of her artwork, her art studio, during one of the art walk kind of things, public. And she said, look at this picture. She said the lady who came in went to take her camera out of her pocket, and it went off while she was in her pocket, as she was taking it out. So here were all these pictures of artwork and stuff, and here was this picture that was kind of, looked like it double exposed, but there was tiny, and it was kind of a funny, foggy thing, which was being taken through her pants. But here in the east side, on this side of the building, the picture, were this pinafore, child's pinafore, and this black deacon's coat hanging in midair. So it was confirmation that the actual energy that was there, and probably the more often it happens, or the more dense it is, like a murder or something, that kind of energy, anger, violence, is kind of like a storm, and so it lasts longer. So the more often it's happened, or the more dense it is. So that deacon's coat and those pinafores had been there so often, so much, that they were actually still left imprints on the corner. But that was something I learned about history that I wouldn't have known any other way.
Right.
We wouldn't,
It's sort of like intuiting history or something.
Yeah,
or,
yeah. And it's no different than, to me, it's no different than seeing the picture on the wall that's of somebody's great-great-grandfather. And so when we find things like that, we see a vision or something like that, or we hear a voice, and we can trace it back to history, then we find out that was a part of our history, and that person that wore that deacon's coat was one of the people that went through all that, the struggles and all the horrible things that they went through to get from back east here to create this wonderful life I enjoy today. So I'm proud to be a representative of theirs, as well as especially for the 150th. But I'm also very intrigued by the fact of how much they left behind that we can see, like footprints in the sand or whatever you want to call it, that we can actually tap into and learn more about who they were and what they did and how they were the ones that got the heart beating.
Yeah. Although some might say that the heart was beating, a heart was beating here well before we arrived. But,
that's for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's fascinating work. You also do investigations, is that right? Like you'll be called upon to investigate someone's home or a haunting or something like that?
We call them site inspections, but
Okay.
when I started doing the tours in 2000, just a little quick background, people would sign up to take it thinking it was going to be a haunted thing. And then when they discovered that I really believed this stuff and that some of these people I was talking about were people I had seen, then we got people interested in the paranormal. So we put together a 501c3 called Kindred Spirits. And there we have a team of investigators, you might say, that work with them. And when we go in someplace, that's what we try to do. We just try to pick up on whatever's, and if somebody says, this in the basement, I get a cold chill, or something happens down here, would you come down the basement? Then we'll check those out. But basically what I just do is I just walk through and see what we can pick up. And again, then if somebody says, well, I get vision of my Uncle George, then I'll ask where did he have a favorite chair, and they can get the point where people can actually sit in that chair, and all these memories start flooding back because that energy, a lot of it's still there, and so it brings that connection from supposedly the afterworld to this world, and brings them back together, and they can share that same kind of memory. And then I've had people, buildings. I've worked with some law enforcement agency for mysteries and things, and a lot of times I can see things. I'm not the only psychic that can, but I can see things like who the perpetrator was, or who, somebody that's not part of the thing. Just like somebody'd go in and say, well, there was somebody lolling around outside the museum, and he didn't belong here, so would you check him out? There's a different energy about it. There's a different flavor, and so we actually can and sometimes even more direct. I was involved in a murder case in 1988, and I didn't want to get involved because I just didn't want to have that liability, and I wasn't sure that I could find anything anyway. But I just couldn't say no to him, and so I just said, well, give me 24 hours. And I just literally went outside with a notebook and sat down, thought, well, at least I can try. And I put my hands up and says, anybody got anything? And all of a sudden, what I call a narrative now, it started telling me who the people were that the woman had been killed, was already killed, when she'd be found, where she'd be found.
Oh, boy.
And actually pretty much solved the case. Of course, there's always a liability that the police departments I've worked with a lot of them now, but it's kind of a touchy thing. And in those days, in 1988, you could get put on the witness stand for knowing things that nobody else knew if they panned out. But that's how clear the information is sometimes. But you have to be open to it. Have to open your curtains to see what's going on outside and be open to what's out there, rather than stare at the curtains and say.
Do you have to open your curtains, or are your curtains kind of always open?
Well, part of the reason it's always open now.
Okay.
Yeah, that's because well, not while we're talking, whatever,
Right. If
I'm
you're
using my
yeah,
conscious
sure,
mind, yeah.
sure.
But that's the other reason why people miss a lot of this is because of all the, what I call propaganda or fake news about demons and, and I've never, 50-some years, and to me it doesn't make sense that somebody who's been physical, they don't have a physical body anymore, and it's like the caterpillar turning into a butterfly. The butterfly doesn't care what happened with that caterpillar. He has no, he's totally different, although they were one in the same body and they shared the same cells for a while. There's no social contention between them.
Right, okay.
So now that I'm not afraid of that, and I also trust my fight or flight, being an energy being, I know that that's, and if I feel something that's not comfortable to me, whether I'm in a psychic mood or not, I just do it like a fox would if he smelled a tiger or sensed a tiger.
Run like hell.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So that's that. I'm usually always open. And I tell you, a lot of these extraordinary beings, you might call them, are a lot more interesting than some of the people I deal with, including myself. My life's pretty predictable on the normal level. My boat looks the same all the time. But it's also very, I really believe that, like the caterpillar that turns into a butterfly, they're both still here, is that in this third and fourth dimension, there are at least two of us beings, energy beings, and one is not visible to us.
Okay.
But even though we can't see the wind, we can see the effects.
Okay.
And so what we see in our site inspections and stuff are the effects of what happened before, even though we can't see the spirit doing it. Communication-wise, the energy, whatever's on the internet, if you can go on the internet and put horses in, and you'll get everything from ponytails to the first horse that ever existed.
Sure.
And so that information's already out there. And if we can believe that we can ask a question and then just stay open, we don't have to go through the internet.
Are you saying, like, if I want to see an image of a horse?
No, I'm saying if you have a question about life.
Oh, okay. Oh, I see.
Be
open to the universe.
Yeah,
I
because
see. Okay.
just like you're giving me information that I didn't have and vice versa,
Yeah.
there's spirits out there, or there's the leftover energy, whatever,
There's
that
like a
has the same
psychic.
stuff.
There's like a psychic Google or a spirit
Yeah,
Google
exactly. Yeah.
out there.
And again, people are so amazed by this, but my grandson walked in their house the other day and said, "Google, give me the good name for a baby horse," because he had just they'd had a horse. And instantly, this voice off this little thing starts saying, "What about this? What about this? What about this?"
Oh, yeah.
So how does that happen? It's just airways coming through? So we just cut out the middleman. One thing I know we're running out, one thing I wanted to make, because it's been a big issue, is people about the danger of dealing with this, you
Yeah.
know?
Mm-hmm.
And to me, the way it was explained to me by my friends, it was that if we were to go into a movie theater, say that you had a movie showing here of Clint Eastwood, and there could be 500 people in the audience, and that could be duplicated all around the world. How many millions of people would be watching a Clint Eastwood movie in a theater at the same time? Well, obviously it's Clint Eastwood up there. He's on the screen. He's lopping people's heads off and shooting them. But nobody in that audience believes, even if they don't believe in ghosts, believes he's going to come off that screen and come down and hurt them.
Right.
And yet there's very clearly, that's him right up there doing his thing. He's probably out playing golf or on his yacht.
Or making movies, yeah.
Yeah. So that's my explanation of why I'm not afraid of him. I'm not afraid of it because it's
So for the same reason we're not afraid of something we see on a screen somewhere, it's not the energy that we might be experiencing in a haunting or with a ghost
Yeah.
or with something from the spirit realm is not physical.
Right.
So we don't need to feel as if we're physically in jeopardy.
And there's no revenge. You know, that's where the haunted houses, where you have somebody chasing you with a knife or whatever. You know, all that Halloween-y stuff. I
Right,
thought
yeah.
it might be fun, it might be scary, but unfortunately it's pretty fake news for people that are actually interested, especially if they've lost somebody like COVID. You know, if you've lost somebody, to think that you cannot. There's not a possibility that you can ever connect with them again on any level, because now there's a chance that there's somebody in that other world that's revengeful or can do to us what, you know. Anyway, it's very long, but I did want to say that because that's what I get a lot is, aren't you afraid? And I wanted to go on that, but, you know, I heard that people get pushed downstairs and stuff like that. And
So be open to these energies. Be open to the spirit world, and you can experience those who may no longer be with us.
oh yeah, yeah.
You can feel their energy. You can feel their
If
presence.
if they are there.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah.
Right.
But again, it's because we're physical. The only decisions we can make, I feel, are fight or flight. Just like the animals, you know, the baby rabbit sees this shadow of this eagle. It doesn't know that eagle can eat it, maybe, but there's something about what it feels from that instinctively that it doesn't have to have somebody say, this guy's a bad guy. So it runs under a bush, and it stays there as long as it can. It may not be able to stay under there, but that's as simple as what I'm talking about, is if there's an energy around you, whether it's physical or not physical, and it doesn't feel good to you, then don't interact with it, you know, just leave.
Okay.
Because it may be your own paranoia. I tell a lot of people on ghost tours and stuff, I said, don't get all psyched up, because if you go into a place and there's supposedly has been a ghost there, a sighting there, then you're already anticipating it. And so you're already keyed up, and maybe you're a little bit nervous. Well, you're projecting that. And then you've got 10 other people standing around you looking at that same spot, and they're all projecting it.
Yeah.
There may not be anything there at all, but all of a
Right.
sudden that, and you miss what is really there, and that's why we don't use meters. When our Kindred Spirit Society, we do investigations. I take a blindfold, that's all I take. We use cameras, but as far as these meters and stuff, they work for a lot of people, but my problem with them is that it's like putting a temperature or a thermometer in your mouth. If you've got a temperature, it's going to register. So if you've got a meter in your hand and you're all keyed up on what you're going to see or what you're going to pick up on, that energy is going to affect the meter reading. That's just the way it kind of works. So.
Okay.
So, but anyway, it's I love it, and I really love the fact that I've been in Longmont 60 some years now, and to be able to actually learn personally, up close and personal, like we say on the tours, to be able to these people that were our founders and we're here, and some things, you know, that aren't in the books yet. Although there's very few things that I found that Eric hasn't put in his book.
There's a lot in that book. There's a lot in that book. Anyway.
The one other thing we do is the haunting history of, we've done the Callahan House, we've done, we're just going to do the Elks Lodge, and that's where we go in and actually it's open to the public, and we talk about the history, and then we show them the spaces where we found things that dovetail into the history and tell us more about that particular family and their heritage and what they brought to the city or what they brought to us through their lives. And those are things that the people can feel them, other than just saying there's a picture on the wall of so-and-so.
Right.
And you say this is where people have picked up feelings of whatever, and that dovetails right into the kind of person that person was and what the history said about it. And we don't tell any stories. Anything we say is you know, it's our opinion that this fits well enough. We're not making anything up. Fits well enough with what happened in those days anyway. then this very well could be something from the past.
Sure.
That,
And there is some interpretation that goes on there.
Yeah.
Right, sure,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
makes sense. People can, you'll probably get back to doing some tours here in the not too distant future, I hope?
May, June, July, we'll be doing downtown tours for the 150th.
Oh,
And we'll be
great.
actually be going in some of the buildings. And we're also doing a lot of the haunted history of the different businesses, like Callahan House and the Firehouse and all of those.
Well, you know, the time has really flown. Dori, I'm so glad you could join us. If you want more information about what Dori does and upcoming tours and that sort of thing, you can visit her at dorispence.com. And there's also Kindred Spirits of the Rockies, kindredspiritssociety.org.
The easiest thing probably would be the step in time.
Oh, Step in Time.
Stepintime@gmail.com.
Okay.
We'll send you a schedule of everything the organization does as well as us. So
Dori, your spirit is welcome here any old time.
thank you.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, our last, but not least, guest of the evening is the visionary behind Longmont's premier professional classical music outfit, the Longmont Symphony Orchestra. He's also a dad, owner of some of the fanciest cowboy boots I've ever seen, and the host of Music and More. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Elliott Moore to the Longmonster. Hello, Maestro.
How are you doing, Justin?
I'm doing great. It's really excellent to have you here.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be here. Actually, it's really a pleasure to be here. I feel like this is the most people I've been around in a really long time.
We're being careful, though.
Oh, we certainly are.
Plexi.
Plexiglass.
This is Plexi.
And I was told not to wear a mask for this segment, so
Yeah. We're playing it. We're playing it cool. We're playing it safe.
absolutely.
Yeah. Have you had a shot?
No, I can't wait to have my shots. Well,
When-
I say shots. I suppose I could have the one and done, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Jealous of everyone who gets it. So.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Maestro, what's new?
Oh my gosh, what's new? There is so much that's new. I started a TV show. That's one thing.
I know, and you're the competition.
Oh, I don't think so. But
I think so.
it's been a lot of fun.
Okay.
In all honesty, it's been a lot of fun to start this TV show. To tell you the truth, the idea behind the TV show is it's a mixture between Mr. Rogers and World News Tonight. And that may sound like something that makes you laugh, which it's supposed to, because, you know, when I thought about all these children that aren't in music classes anymore, they're at home and they don't have any kind of instruction, I just said to myself, first of all, poor teachers, what are they supposed to do? You know, how are they supposed to teach band, orchestra, choir, with distance learning? And so many students were leaving band, orchestra, and choir. And so I thought to myself, well, if I can make it entertaining and educational, maybe it will help some of these students to continue with music. And at the same time, it was a way that I was able to keep our audience connected with great music that's fun, enjoyable, where they have an experience that deepens their relationship to music. So, and obviously specifically classical music, to make that fun. So.
And how does Beethoven figure into this?
Well, there's kind of a character named Herr Beethoven, and it could be spelled H-E-R-R, as in the German Mr., but the way I say it, I kind of try to make it Herr, like, because I wear a wig.
Right.
And it's the worst possible wig. I purposefully got like the weirdest wig.
Well, before you go overboard on describing this wig, I think people should probably see it themselves.
Okay, there's a
I
clip.
think we do we have booth? Hey, people in the booth, do we have that video clip? Yeah, let's play that. What's that?
Beethoven finds his mojo,
Beethoven finds his mojo.
which is kind of like his motif, his motive for the Fifth Symphony. How does he
Okay.
find it? And he finds it in La Vita Bella. So.
Well, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna. Unfortunately, us down here won't be able to enjoy this, but the folks on the interweb will. So, let's roll that real quick, shall we?
Okay,
If you're not ready,
I hope you enjoyed your meal.
Oh, wunderbar!
Fantastic. I love to hear that. Music to my ears. And here's the fun part. Here's your bill.
Oh.
Pay with cash or credit
Oh,
card.
oh, nein, ich habe kein Geld.
Okay, Coleman. Please, can you put this and organize this just like you do with all your great compositions? I'm sure you'll find this the most simplest task. I'll be back to check on you. Beethoven, what are you doing? This is not playtime, it's work time. Get back to work. And answer that phone.
Hello? Was? I can't hear you. Oh.
Okay, Beethoven, please do me a favor and put the glasses right in there and use the dishwasher. Thank you.
Hilarious, sir.
Thanks.
He resembles you an awful lot. I
He
know.
does.
Yeah.
You know, it was funny. There's a local music critic, and he said to me, he said, Elliot, can't you get a better wig? And I said, no, it's supposed to be the
Yeah.
worst wig that I can possibly find.
Yeah.
So, but you know, one of the things about that, of course, was that it was filmed at one of my favorite coffee shops here in Longmont, La Vita Bella, and it's now actually a restaurant, and just a wonderful, wonderful place. And in so many ways, I mean, it's a way that music can, and especially classical music, can interact with businesses, right? And it's how you make music relevant and how it connects to people's lives.
By dressing up like a dead musician.
I suppose so, yeah.
Is that-
No,
okay.
if nothing else, a little bit of comedy, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And you know, coming up with the three notes and how you come up with the three notes and yeah, so you're calling me maestro, which is on the one hand funny, but when I think about maestri, the great maestros, I think about how they had such elevated thought, and while I'm honored that you call me that, I also know that I have so much to learn, and at the same time, part of at least who I am as a musician, as a human being, is somebody who has fun. And so to bring sort of my authentic self to the music, to the service of the music, and frankly to the service of the community, because that's at the end of the day why we're all here, is to make Longmont a better place, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of it all coming together in a certain way.
Well, talk to us a little more about the transformational power of music and your mission, Ellis, the Longmont Symphony Orchestra's mission, and
Sure.
yeah.
Well, transformational power of music is something that I believe in deeply. I believe that music can change people's lives. It's changed my life. There's no doubt about it. But I also then say to myself, well, how can it change the community? And one of the ways that I am absolutely committed to, being here in Longmont and transforming Longmont through music, through the arts, is by, essentially building from nothing, a arts and cultural event center. And that's something that we're working on really, really hard right now. And actually, next Tuesday, the Longmont City Council is going to be presented with our findings. I say our findings. I didn't do the work. I just, gave my 2 cents here and there. But, is it going to be possible to actually create a state-of-the-art, dedicated center for the performing arts? And
We're talking about a feasibility study that
we
was
are talking
conducted.
we're talking about a
s-
feasibility study.
To see if Longmont can handle a much larger performing arts facility, like a 12 to 1,500 seat venue.
Yeah, right now actually they're kind of saying a couple of different numbers, but
Okay.
between 1,000 and 1,500, and then actually possibly with the addition of a 500-seat hall a little bit later, how that would work. And by the way, of course, it's not just for classical music. It could be for opera. It could be for Garth Brooks. It could be, though he probably sells out larger stadiums than 1,500. But Weird Al Yankovic at least.
Yeah, Weird Al for
that's
sure.
important.
Yeah.
So yeah, how do you bring culture to Longmont in a very large and meaningful way? And so in that sense, that's a very concrete way of transforming the community through music.
And also bringing other people from outside of Longmont to Longmont for these experiences.
Well, right
Yeah.
now, a lot of dollars are leaving Longmont and going to many, many other places, Denver, Boulder, Greeley, Fort Collins, and all of those dollars are leaving Longmont. And the question at some point becomes, well, what do we need to do to keep those dollars either here or, even better, bring outside dollars in?
Yeah.
And from everything that I've read from this feasibility study, the short answer is you build a state-of-the-art performing arts center.
That's exciting.
Yeah,
That's exciting.
yeah.
And there's a role for every, it's about having kind of a vibrant ecosystem, and it's about having venues of different sizes that support different levels of work and different kinds of work. I think that would be a fantastic.
Well, one of the things that I've only lived in Longmont roughly 5 years, approximately 4.
You got me beat.
That's
Yeah.
barely. But one of the things I've just loved seeing is how it's evolving, how it's growing, how the people are shifting their way of thinking. And one of the things that I've seen is exceptional growth and sort of an elevated way of doing things, particularly in downtown. And I think that Longmont is now, when I look at the restaurants, the shopping that's here, and I mean, especially the small businesses, I think that people here are craving elevated experiences. And I think that culture goes hand in hand with all of that. So it's an entire sort of way of thinking and way of being that is, I think, the future of Longmont.
Providing elevated experiences. And,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And of course, I mean, when you look at what you have to offer right here in the museum, I mean, a couple, rooms away from us, there are Monets and Degas, and I mean, it's not every place that gets to have a Degas just hanging on the wall, So yeah, it's really exceptional. And I think that the reason you programmed it is because people want it. And why do people want it? Because this is the way that Longmont is, it's the direction it's going.
Yeah.
People want these kinds of experiences.
And it's thrilling. It's thrilling to be able to provide people with those kinds of experiences.
Oh my God. Well, it's thrilling to be able to see a Monet.
Yeah.
I mean, it
That's
really
pretty
is.
special. And what you're providing, can you talk a little bit about the role classical music plays in sort of contemporary American society? I mean, I think a lot of people talk about Well, and you know, classical art as well, impressionism or whatever. I think a lot of people might say, well, what are this bunch of dead white guys, you know?
Sure, yeah. So, I mean, a couple of things.
Yeah.
You know, Dori, I was listening to you speaking, and one of the things that you were talking about is kind of the shared experience. And when you bring people together and people have a shared experience, it can be a very powerful thing. And by the way, nobody's been together at all having shared experiences since March of 2020. So I think that it's something that people actually desire, is to go congregate, have some kind of shared experience where it's uplifting, right? So, I mean, listen, the dead white guy thing, there's no doubt. I think that there's a time and place to get away from that. And I think that how you get away from that is an art in itself. Kind of teaching the audience, well, okay, there's all kinds of new classical music, and how does that pertain to our life, right? And actually, next season, we're planning on having a Longmont composer who has written a percussion concerto for ancient lithophones. And
What's a lithophone?
A lithophone is, let's ballpark here, roughly a 6,000-year-old percussion instrument. And nobody knew that it was they had these stones, and in fact, the archaeologist who found them is from Longmont. And so she found these stones, she didn't know what they were, and it just so happened that she had a daughter who played percussion, probably in the band, in probably one of the Longmont bands. And one day she struck one of these 6,000-year-old stones and realized that it had a pitch to it. And then she went to another one of the 5,000, 6,000-year-old stones and realized that one had a different pitch to it. These are ancient percussion instruments.
And one of them sounded just like Mick Jagger.
That's right.
That's right. I heard this story.
But what's so interesting to me is that here we are, we're going to do a world premiere from a Longmont composer who has, been inspired by these instruments that are from Colorado that a Longmont archaeologist actually found.
It's incredible.
It's incredible. It's incredible the things that are here. And so to bring all of this together, bring the history of our place into the concert hall with a composer who's alive, there's a lot that can be done.
Yeah.
And that's just, by the way, one example. So,
And you work with a lot of new composers or new work or new musicians.
I do. I mean,
so it's very alive, right?
I do. Maybe two things. One is I was contacted by just a wonderful, wonderful composer, a young man, and he said, Elliot, I'm thinking about writing a piece that's kind of, on the one hand about COVID, on the other hand, of course, getting over, this shared experience that we've had. And he's calling it Symphony for the Great Return, because orchestras, of course, have not been around for, the last year and change. And so I said I would absolutely be interested in performing this on our very first concert back. Oh, yeah. And so we've programmed that work as one of our first works back. And so that would be an example of working with a living composer, and I'm able to actually talk to him and say, listen, what about this? What about that? Why'd you do this? What about changing this, right? And it's really neat to have that kind of back and forth. On the other hand, coming up on April 17th, we have a concert coming up with the Longmont Symphony. It's a virtual performance, and it's all around the life of Mozart, Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. And what's been so interesting in that has been, I've been reading a tremendous amount about his life. And we're doing an overture that he wrote when he was just 12 years old. His first major symphonic work that found its way into the repertoire. And then his essentially very last completed work. So we're doing, from when he was a child, kind of young adult, and his very last finished work, but right before he died, 2 months before he died. And so to delve into a composer who, you know, like Mozart, I mean, just truly one of the great geniuses of you know, Western civilization, it's so rewarding to find out about how he was as a child, how he was as a young adult, the struggles that he had. Oh my gosh, I mean, you know, his relationship to particularly his dad was caustic and yet loving at the same time. There's such complexity there, and to find all of these complexities and maybe how you can bring them out in the music. And by the way, how you can bring them to the public so that it makes sense, it touches people, and their lives have been enriched and they're better for it. So that's a long answer, apparently.
What is it like to conduct?
It's like driving a car. It can be like driving a Ferrari, or it can be like driving a bus. When you're driving a Ferrari, you know, well, I've never driven a Ferrari. I guess I can't say that. I have driven sports cars, though. And to see how they handle and how if you do a little something, it reacts, right?
Dave will let you drive his Ferrari sometime.
I like it.
I'm trying to string 3 chords together without messing up, so.
I got it. So, yeah, and then, you know, there are other times when an orchestra can feel like they're dragging behind you, and you don't have kind of the horsepower to get it going. And it's a lot like driving a car. And there are a lot of, I think, similarities where, you know, let's say that you are a bus driver, and that's actually in many ways how I think of myself. I need to get everyone safely from A to Z. And how you do that, you know, you don't want people every time you put your foot on the gas, that people start saying, oh no, we want to go this way, or no, we want to go that way. You need to make them feel secure. And in that sense, it's very much like being a bus driver. You don't want everyone, you know, kind of being the backseat driver. And if you're not intentional and you're not specific about what you want and why it goes this way, then people start sort of, I don't want to say questioning you, but that's where the knowledge becomes so critical to leading the people. When they feel like you know what you're doing because it's based upon what the composer said to do, everyone's there for the composer. They want to follow that. And so it's not about me, it's about Mozart, or it's about Beethoven, or it's about this young man who wrote Symphony for the Great Return. It's about putting the composer on the pedestal, and we are all in service of that.
Do you have do conductors have particular styles? I mean, do you bring something to the music that other conductors don't? Or?
You know, I have a wonderful way of thinking about this. There are these straws that if you put them in milk, like it's like a strawberry flavored straw, right?
Yeah, I know all about.
Okay, you know,
actually.
yeah, or there's a chocolate flavored straw, right? And what you do is you dip it in milk, and when you suck the milk out the straw, it becomes strawberry milk, or it becomes chocolate milk, right? It's a little bit like that with a conductor, which is to say the milk is the music. The milk is Mozart, okay? If you dip Elliot into that, the music comes out Elliot flavored, right? Or if you dip Justin into that, the music comes out Justin, right?
Don't do that, ladies and gentlemen. Do not do that. Don't try dipping me into your musical milk.
So I think that each person there's something that they bring to it. And I think that so long as you study and you really devote yourself to what Mozart's doing, or any composer, of course, for that matter, then when it comes out with kind of your personal touch on it, that there's something that makes it authentic, it makes it real, it makes it touching, it makes it, I don't know, I can't put a word on it maybe, but that's how I think about it.
Huh.
So
I may be thinking of that strawberry milk straw next time.
But you know, I think maybe the trick is to not overdo it. You know,
Yeah.
I'm not trying to.
Right.
I'm not trying to put
Make it
an
your
Elliott
own.
stamp on it.
Right. Right.
It just is what it is,
Yeah.
you know?
Because you're shaped a certain way. And
Yeah.
Right. You're an individual.
So,
What do you say is the least understood thing about conducting a symphony? What should people know about?
you know, okay, there are a couple things.
Yeah.
One comes to mind. This is one of the kind of typical things that everyone assumes. Everyone assumes that I'm surrounded by people all the time. That is not true. I am not surrounded by people all the time. I love being around people, but in fact, I'm all alone all day long. That's much more common. And what I'm really doing all day long is looking at the music, hearing it in my head, and I do that alone. And it's through doing that, it's called score study. It's through doing that score study that that it allows me to go in front of an orchestra and have some sort of, you know, command of the music. That people say, oh, we want to follow what's going on because we believe in what's happening up there. So that's the main thing is I'm not surrounded by people.
Right. Have you seen that TV show Mozart in the Jungle? Have I asked you this before? I think maybe I did.
I don't know if you have, but the short answer is I think I watched an episode or two, and I thought to myself, it's roughly normal, and so I didn't keep watching. It seems like my life. So.
It's an Amazon show, not to shill for Amazon Prime right now, but it's Gael Garcia Bernal, and he's the conductor of the New York Philharmonic, and it's a great inside look at how nonprofit arts organizations kind of function. It's really hilarious. Anyway, what time is it? Oh, it's time. I'm over time. I told you it was the Longmonster for a reason. We're gonna put an end to this,
All right.
Jesse. Jesse's got to go to bed because he got to get up in the morning and DJ.
That's right.
Radio station. Anyway, we do have one last final segment, and it's the reason you're all here. It is the "You're So Vrain, You Probably Think This Town Is About You" Longmont History Quiz. Conducted by our very own curator of history, Eric Mason. Hey Booth, you're gonna want to check out some visuals here.
Hey, Justin, you're
Hey,
looking
Eric.
pretty foolish tonight. Hey, it's great to see you.
It's good to see you. Thanks for joining us, Eric.
Sure thing, sure thing. Love to be here for this very special April 1st edition of the Longmonster Trivia Contest.
All right.
All right, well, our first question is to Jessie Rodriguez. Which member of the Beach Boys grew up in Longmont? Was it A, Brian Wilson, B, Al Jardine, C, Mike Love, or D, Annette Funicello? Oh, guessing Al Jardine. I'm sorry. The answer is Mike Love, but very good, very good. All right. Our next question is for Dori Spence. Which of the following features a turkey? Is it the official City of Longmont seal, the City of Longmont flag, or is a turkey hidden in every piece of public art in Longmont?
I have no clue.
No, don't want to hazard a guess?
I was just thinking maybe that had something to do with what the turkey trot is, but that has to do with Thanksgiving. We have the turkey trot. So nope, sorry.
All right, she gives up. All right.
Gives up. All right. Well, it's the official city seal.
Oh,
Now,
thanks for informing me. I didn't even know that.
very few people knew that. Our final question of our first round. So for all the marbles, if you can get it, for Elliott Moore, Longmont's most prominent founder Seth Terry was well known for his skill at which musical instrument? Was it A, the nose flute, B, the ukulele, or C, the theremin?
I'm going to go with the theremin.
Oh, I'm sorry. It was
Really?
the nose flute. Seth Terry actually led the local nose flute chorus for a time in Longmont.
It's all true. This is so true.
Well,
What page of your book are all these on so we can go back and do the research?
as Mr. Rodriguez has cleverly guessed, this is a special April Fool's edition of the Longmonster Trivia Contest. And all of those questions were, in fact, completely fictitious. So do not start calling and going looking for hidden turkeys in the city seal or
Hidden turkeys. I see a hidden turkey.
trying to find Mike Love's birthplace in Longmont. No such luck. But we do have one real question. And it is a lightning round, so whoever knows it first, just stick up your hand and you get a chance to win all the marbles. What anniversary is Longmont celebrating this year? Oh, Elliot!
150th.
Very good, very
Ding,
good.
ding, 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 ding. We have a winner.
You saw his cue
Well
card.
done. Well done. Should we reveal the prize?
Go right
Ladies
ahead.
and gentlemen, tonight's prize is none other than the book, Longmont, the first 150 years by Mr. Eric Mason himself. There aren't too many of these. This is a real hot commodity, and Eric has graciously, well, he'll sign it for you. Yeah.
I'll take it.
Yeah,
I'll
that's
take
right. Okay. This is a display copy, so I can't give it to you. But we'll make sure that you get one of these on your way out the door. I want to thank everybody. I mean everybody. I mean our tech crew, Scott, Stewart, the incomparable Less is More, Les Kahn, the folks at Longmont Public Media, our Longmont Museum staff, Jim Fladmark, the incredible intern, my incredible intern Aubrey Prestwich, Scott Yoho on the camera down there, our house band. Oh, you guys were just amazing. You were. Dave Tamkin Company, AKA Chadzilla, Bradzilla, Chad, Zilla, anyway. Okay. And let's thank our guests for the second Longmonster ever. You were here, you saw it. It was the second one that's happened. Really, it did. I want to thank you all for joining us. Elliot, thank you for being here. Dori, thank you for joining us. And Jessie, thank you for being here too. We'll get you to bed soon so you can get up in the morning and get on that radio show. Thank you all for tuning in. We'll see you next week, same time, same day, for a special poetry reading with Abigail Chabot-Noir. She's fantastic. Anyway, signing off. Sayonara.